person on tonight, Father God. Father God, let everything be done decent and in order, Father. So, Father God, let us open our ears that we may hear, Father God, of the meeting that's going to be held on tonight, God. And we thank you for our president and the vice presidents, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sister Dunkley, for that. All right. We're going to go with this. Everyone who registered should have received a copy of the agenda already. So what we're going to do is, let me get this poll up here. We're going to take, we'll launch this poll, and this poll is to suspend the normal order of business and accept the agenda. All we need is a majority of vote of the members present. If you're a member, vote yay or nay. If you're not a member, feel free to abstain from voting. All right, we're going to launch the poll. And please mute yourselves, please. We have about 20 seconds left on the poll. Actually, on the vote, excuse me. About 7 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end polling. I'm going to share the results. We have 88%. Madam Secretary, are you capturing that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we're going to go start with our roll call of officers. So, Madam Secretary, go ahead with roll call.
Okay, we have President Spain, who's present. First Vice President Kent Carter.
Present.
Second Vice President Sharice Kearns.
Present.
Third Vice President Michael Hemminger.
Present.
Treasurer Roy Austin.
Present.
Assistant Treasurer Adriana Spain.
Present.
I'm the Secretary Wanda Younger, present. Assistant Secretary Dominique Jenkins. Dominique Jenkins. Executive Committee at Large Karen Nightingale. Karen Nightingale. Executive Committee at Large James Younger.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large Simone Walker. Simone Walker.
She's unable to participate tonight.
Thank you. At Large Member Carolyn Kane. Carolyn Kane. Communications Leah Matterall. Leah Matterall. Criminal Justice Heather Kelly. Heather.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Criminal Justice Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers. Economic Development Megan Brew. Megan Brew. Environmental and Climate Justice Gabrielle Cantor. Gabrielle Cantor. Environmental and Climate Justice Kenyatta Clemens. Kenyatta Clemens. Housing Kelly MacBeth. Kelly MacBeth. Labor and Industry Maya Jones. Maya Jones. Legal Redress Brendan Meehan.
Present.
Membership Keisha Tinsley. Keisha Tinsley. Political Action Jamie Abrams.
She's traveling and won't be here tonight.
Thank you. Political Action Megan Reasor.
Present.
Religious Affairs Reverend Davis.
Present.
Religious Affairs Rosa Dunkley.
Present.
Scholarship, Adore Williams. Adore Williams. Scholarship, Jill DeWitt. Jill DeWitt. Special Events, Marvin Nels.
Present.
Special Events, Sheila Smith. And that concludes the roll call.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, we're gonna go right into the next on the agenda. Hey, you know, we're 6 minutes into it and we have 71 people on the call. Thank you so much for attending tonight. We're gonna go right into the financial report. Mr. Treasurer and Secretary, if you don't mind.
Okay, for the month of October 2021, and this is not the detailed report that I would normally give you. We are still working on that information, but I can give you the totals. At the beginning of the month, we had a total of $181,841.39 in business savings. We still have that amount. We had $44,513.26 in the checking account. After all of our activity, the ending balance in the checking account is $18,954.31. As I said, because of the activity in the account for the month of October, specifically dealing with our Freedom Fund Banquet, we have a great number of transactions, and we will give you a full accounting during our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer, for your verbal report. Madam Secretary. Do you want to talk to that, Madam Secretary?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right, this is a preliminary report for the 2021 Annual Freedom Fund Banquet. And on the screen, it shows what our estimated total income was and our estimated total expense. We estimated that our total income was going to be $6,700, but our actual income was $12,910. We estimated our expenses would be $6,545, and our actual expenses preliminary is $6,196.71. So our profit preliminarily is $6,713.29. And that includes the ticket holders and the sponsors as well.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, give me just a second, right here. So, yeah, let me just say thanks to everyone for your donations for our virtual Freedom Fund Banquet that was held on October 28th. It was, in fact, not only a grand affair, as you can see in the reporting, the preliminary reporting, it was, we made significant gains across the board. It's a preliminary report for a number of reasons, because the executive committee meets every third Sunday, and the executive committee has not met yet. Before we bring final reports to the general membership, those reports are briefed to the executive committee, and we go over it at that time, then we bring it to the general membership. Again, as the treasurer talked about, there was a lot of expenses. That's what we have in every banquet that they're working on. And I want to again give hats off to Marvin Nils and the entire team at the Freedom Fund Banquet who put it together. So, after we pay out and give National their 25%, I think we'll still have a little bit of money in the kitty. So thanks to everyone. Now on the agenda, we're a little bit, we're 2 minutes into it. this is a time where they say, well, the president's remarks. But I'm going to do something a little bit different, deviate, because we do have our presidents, our VPs on here. And I'm going to give them an opportunity just briefly to say anything that may be on their radar. I know our first vice president was here earlier or may still be on. So Mr. First VP, any words to pass to the general membership from your station, from where you're at?
No, thanks, Mr. President. Just want to say thanks for everyone supporting our fundraiser this year. It's a big help. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Our second VP is with us as well, Ms. Cherie Kearns. Cherie, you have anything?
Good evening, everybody. No, I don't have anything to share. Most of mine will come in under the Ed Committee update.
Thank you. Our third VP did join us, Madam Secretary. That is Michael Hemminger. You have anything to say, sir?
No, sir, Mr. President. I'll yield back.
Oh my goodness, what a nice photo of you there, sir. Oh, you've been out taking photos. All right. You dress up pretty good there, Mike. So, you know, since our last meeting, we have, let me change something here, I'm having some issues. We at the NAACP here have been, we remain engaged on a number of fronts. You will see in the package that was sent to you, you know, we've sent an update up to the county board as it relates to the community oversight board. There's some nuances behind all of that, and it's all detailed in the letter. We've right before we had our last meeting, our education committee, I think it was a day or so before, not perhaps our last meeting or the banquet. But anyway, in the last 45 days, we do a stand up with Drew and the Dyslexia Edge, and they'll talk a little bit more about that. We've been involved with, still in the housing arena, working with our local legislators on some policy initiatives, laws for the next General Assembly. You know, working for GOTV, get out the vote. We did a lot of that. You'll hear some of that reporting later on. But NAACP has been quite busy. All right. If people are calling on us to come speak, come attend, it kind of wears on you. And I remind everyone on this call that in case you don't know, and I'm glad to see our past president, Dr. Alfred Taylor, welcome with us. Welcome tonight, sir. What we do here, everyone, is voluntary, 100% voluntary. A lot of the elected officials have made significant sacrifice to do the business of the NAACP. But like I tell folks, it has to be in your heart. You have to be passionate about this line of work. This is not about, you know, pay $30 and use the name of the NAACP and say, hey, I'm a member. This requires work. To do it right, it requires work. It requires attending meetings. It requires writing policy positions. It requires engaging in the community at all levels, regardless of socioeconomic status. And we've been doing that. And so trust you me, your NAACP is at a point now whereby if an issue occurs in our county, you know, people lean on us, and that's okay. And they lean on a lot of other organizations as well for input. And that's what we want to see happen. We take your words, your concerns to the elected officials, whether it's school board, whether it's county board, whether it's the Commonwealth Attorney. And I think I saw the Commonwealth Attorney join us tonight. Thank you, Commonwealth Attorney Parissa Dagani Tapi, for being with us tonight, and whoever. And we still have much more work to do. What I'm going to encourage everyone to do, you saw a report, and I'm not sharing the screen. We're almost at our, you know, our 1,000 members mark. I think the last report and what you see is around 951.
Right.
So as we get at the tail end of this year, I would ask you to look at your membership. Make sure you're not about to expire, and renew your membership with the NAACP. It's $30 a year. And what do you get out of that $30? I will share a few things with you. So out of the $30 that you pay to the NAACP, $12.10 of it goes to national advocacy for public safety, criminal justice, education, health, equality, voting rights, political representation, economic justice. That's national. $6 goes to the online crisis magazine. $11.90 comes back to the branch. So out of every $30 that you give us, $11 comes back to the branch. If you do it online, it's quarterly to us to be used in our programs. So, you know, we've done a good job with our membership, but membership is the lifeblood of the NAACP. So without members and without, you know, you renewing your membership or giving donations, we won't be able to give out scholarships to our local Black and brown students, minorities, and those that really need the funds to go to school. We won't be able to put on, you know, virtual programs like we've done the past year for some of these guest speakers to come in and talk to us and speak with us about who knows what, the criminalization of Black girls, the Gullah Geechee folks, the African-American community, breast cancer, you know, those type of issues, right? And other things that we may need to do. So it's important. So I ask you as we move into 2022 to think about your membership, renew it. And if you are inclined, reach for the stars. Instead of being a year-to-year member, you know, pay $750 or pay $75 a year and start your membership towards Silver Life subscribing. You know, you pay your $750 and you're done, right? Out of that $750, it's a 60-40 split. So 60% goes to national, 40% comes to us. I wanted to, you know, just harp on membership again, because that's what we need. We need you. Every year, the NAACP, our branch, along with every other branch in the Commonwealth, we have, you know, we pay a certain per capita to national NAACP, and we pay $2,000 per bylaws to state. The past 2 years, it's only been $1,000 because of COVID, but I'm assuming, I'm thinking that next year it'll go back to 2,000. So it costs to run the NAACP as well. With that being said, I want to, in a minute here, turn it over to our special events committee, Mr. Marvin Nels, to talk a little bit about the Freedom Fund Banquet. I will tell you that all awards have been sent out. Again, I think we got grave reviews. Everyone loved it. I actually heard from the chairman and other folks within the Virginia State Conference of the NAACP within the past couple of weeks, and they're very proud of the Arlington NAACP. I say that again, the Arlington NAACP. All right. Again, there is, and I emphasize that because there's no I in team, y'all. There is no I in team. So this is a branch effort, and good job to everyone who's associated with our branch, because you did well. And I think we'll continue to set that standard for others to emulate, even though we have a long way to go. We're not perfect. We have things, administrative tasks that we need to still fix within our structure of the executive committee. I, as president, don't have all the answers. I'm still learning a lot, but we've come a long way. Those of you that have been in this NAACP as long as I have, especially the Arlington branch, will remember what it was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, okay? So let's continue to push, because there's a lot of work again for us to do. With that being said, Marvin, are you ready to provide your updates or any updates on the Freedom Fund Banquet before we go and pivot over to, I do have a few more minutes. Any questions for me before I go over to Marvin? Because I've done enough talking already. Any questions for me? If any questions, just come off the mic. If not, we're going to turn it over to Marvin.
Could you clarify how we can confirm our membership?
Thank you for that question, which is, how can you confirm your membership? You can, did you receive a membership card in the mail?
I believe so, but I'd have to go look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, if you send an email to our branch, 7047 arlingtonnaacp.com, our secretary will look into what we call, there's a platform called Salesforce, She can verify whether or not you have your membership and tell you when it, when it expires, or if you have one at all. So just send an email to the branch. And Madam Secretary, if you don't mind putting the email again in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. Is that okay with you, Paula?
Thank you. Yes, thanks very much.
All right. Any other questions? All right, good. Okay, Marvin, where are you at there, sir? Here you go.
Here, good evening.
All right, floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. President, members. Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. And I want to say another thank you for attending the Freedom Fund virtual banquet. I won't belabor any of the points that Mr. President or Madam Secretary have already stated, but I will add a couple things. Number one, this is November, December, January, then is Black History Month. So I have begun some preliminary thoughts in my head about this upcoming Black History Month program. So if you have any good ideas, feel free to join the Special Events Committee, and we will welcome your ideas. The second thing I want to say is, if you're not a member of any of these fine committees, I encourage you to find something that you're passionate about and join these committees, because to give a small story, when it comes to the duck, you always see a duck smooth sailing across the water. But what you don't see is the duck kicking frantically underwater. And that's how most of the committees are. They're frantically kicking, but what you see, the product you see, is a smooth sailing duck. So don't be afraid to jump in there and join any of these committees. They're led by some great people, and we can use your assistance in any way, shape, or form. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Marvin, for such good work. And can't say it enough about, I like that piece of the analogy about the ducks under the water, legs kicking. That's how it goes here at the branch. Every one of our chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, if you only knew how much work they're putting into what we do here, it is a lot. They're taking up a lot of their free time, and I realize that. Thank you, Mike, for putting that link in the chat for Miss Sabrina. Sabrina, you had asked the link where you can join us at the NAACP. Yeah, click that link, but I will emphasize that if you're joining online, pay strict attention to the drop-down menu once you put in your zip code. When you put in your zip code, it's going to ask you a couple things like associate with at-large or associate with 7047, depending on your zip code, right? So it's important to note that you do put in 7047. If not, you go into what they call the at-large group, and that just means you are a member at large. That means you can't run for office in your local branch. You can't hold a vice, so it makes things hard. We can get it fixed. In fact, we had someone right before the banquet who joined and got a Silverlight member and didn't click the right button, and we're going through all this stuff to try to get them on our branch, which we did, I think we did. But it's just pay strict attention to that. If you're unable to, and you don't want to do it online, send a check. You can go to our website. You can download the form, fill it out, mail it to us. Your membership will be instantaneous. We'll get you in there, and you will be off running. Okay, we're ahead of schedule tonight. So, being that we're ahead of schedule, I'm gonna talk a little bit about tonight. So we at the NAACP, many of y'all know, have been in a lot of contact with our law enforcement officials here in Arlington over the past couple years. Every day hasn't been Sunday, but we know that we have to work together in unity. There's been some changes in leadership where Andy Penn is now the chief of police, and we have Deputy Chief Wayne Vincent who's well known in the community, is now leading all efforts as it relates to community policing. He'll talk more about that. I just want everyone on the call to know how, you know, the executive committee, our criminal justice committee, we here at the NAACP, we challenge a lot. We challenge leadership a lot to look beyond the horizon. To, when you talk about law enforcement, to, you know, what a 21st century policing looks like. We should not be policing today in America like we did in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, all right? We need to evolve. So, you know, Wayne is gonna come on here in a little bit, give you an overview of what he's doing, he and his team. We look forward to being able to work with the police department in their community outreach efforts. We at the NAACP, you know, have strong feelings about the place and the of policing in America and where it needs to be. I don't need to sit here tonight and give everyone a history class on history in America or policing in America. That doesn't help us, but we do need to move forward because history is history. Let's try to make some good history here. There are a number of questions that came in tonight, and those questions I will ask and probably put in the link. I know there's already been some that's come in from you, Wayne. There are a number of questions from the membership people on this call that they want to hear answers to tonight or get input from Wayne and perhaps his team. And so that's what this is all about. So for the next 25, 30 minutes, we're gonna hear from Wayne, and then we're gonna open it up to questions. There'll probably be some back and forth. And if you wanna have a conversation with Wayne, raise your hand. We'll, you know, let you speak freely, but be respectful. We ask for everyone to be respectful on this call. I do have, myself and the secretary have the means to get people off this call if need be. And I don't want to have to do that because, you know, I love all of you, but I'll do what I have to do for the NAACP and this audience. Let's make sure the decorum is appropriate. So with that being said, Wayne, are you there?
I am, Mr. President. Thank you again. I apologize for my voice. I'm a little hoarse, but hopefully you guys can hear me well.
All right, hold on, Wayne. Let me get you here. Let me see if we can do you on the get your little. I forgot the spotlight thing here, Madam Secretary. Where Wayne them at? Oh, here they go. All right. Okay, Wayne, the floor is yours. Welcome to the Arlington branch in NAACP. I know you're not a stranger, but yeah, go ahead. Are you sharing slides or anything? Or no, you're just talking tonight?
I am talking tonight.
All right,
guys,
go ahead.
I just thank you again, Mr. President, for the invite to engage with you and your membership. We certainly appreciate it. I certainly very much so appreciate it. Before I begin, I want to introduce my colleague. This is Corporal Mark Francis. He's a member of our community engagement team assigned to our Southside team. I asked Mark to join us this evening because I'd like all of you, him to share with all of you some of his input from what he's seeing in our community as well. But before I begin our presentation, and before I go further, Mr. President, I believe you have to give me access, since I do want to share a couple of slides if you could. Unless I already have that ability.
No, you don't have to worry about that, Mr. Deputy. We'll take care of that, sir. You now have permissions.
There you go.
All right.
Let me just start off by saying, Mr. President, that I do appreciate your opening words when it comes to the relationship that we have between the NAACP and the Arlington County and law enforcement in general. Let me say also that we also appreciate what the work that the NAACP does nationally and of course locally. You said it perfectly, I thought, when you said that every day is not Sunday. And like you said, we are not perfect either. But I think as we move into 21st century policing, I agree with you 100% that we have to move forward and work together as a community. And so I look forward to those conversations way past tonight. But again, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. And you can rest assured that I'm a big supporter and I will always be here whenever you, any of your membership or anybody in our community needs or wants anything from us. So I'm going to start off our presentation with, I was asked to speak a little bit about our team and what we do. And so, but before I talk about our team, I have to say, just remind everybody that for us, it's about the commitment to our community. And again, once Chief Payne, as you said, was appointed the chief of police for our agency, one of the first things that he did, which I truly, for me, I really appreciate, I know our entire department and community appreciated, was he went out and he took these community conversations. It was an opportunity for us to hear from the community, both in person, online, and different other mechanisms, so we could hear what the community's expectations of our police department. We had several good conversations. We had several good emails, write-ups. Again, not everything is Sunday, but as a chief now works on his vision and what he sees going forward, we hope to get that out, or we would like to get that out in the coming weeks and months. And that is important to us as we move forward. But as you know, a few months ago, I was honored when the chief appointed me the deputy chief over the community engagement division. And I take that very seriously because of the commitment that I've had with our community over my past 25 years. And not just our community, but the men and women that I have the honor of working with each and every day. Next. I'm going to talk briefly. My presentation is, I don't want to say it's short, but I know there's a couple of questions. And because I know you have a tight schedule in your agenda, I'm just going to briefly talk about our community engagement division and what it entails. We have a very unique division in Arlington. We use what we call a three-prong approach, where we conduct outreach through community, through our youth, and through our business. That is kind of unique. I know of no other police agency that does it that way, but it seems to be working for us. And just briefly talk about all three, you know, our community outreach team, which is probably the longest standing one, they serve the primary liaison between the residential community and the police department regarding community and crime-based concerns and relationships building activities. Our youth outreach, which is the newest one, which is only a few weeks old, they work proactively to engage Arlington's youth through community-based education programs and relationship building activities. And last but not least, certainly, is our business outreach, which again is kind of unique, particularly in this area. They serve as a primary liaison between our business community and the police department. The best example of that are the community concerns we had in Crystal City and the Clarendon area, and some of the outreach we've done working with not just the residential community, but also our community that comes to Arlington, as well as our business, as to try and lessen those crimes surrounding our business communities. You know, our community policing philosophy, and I'm not going to repeat what it says up there, but I would just enhance it a little bit. For me, it's not an attempt. We must involve the community as an active partner when we address crime problems within our community. We know that, we understand that, and I think all of you there, I know you want to be a part of that. As most of you already know, you know, we here in Arlington, we've been practicing different facets of community policing since the 1990s, and I'm very proud to say now that, you know, now we're practicing a community policing philosophy through our engagement efforts under one unique division with executive leadership. And so it is a priority for not only our department, but throughout our agency. And again, for us, that is extremely important as we move forward, working with organizations such as the NAACP and building those partnerships, because only through those partnerships will we truly build a unique trust within our community. Do you want to add to that, Mark, at all? Okay. Really briefly, and again, these are just some of the engagement initiatives that we're currently doing. And I'm not going to go through all of them because I would take up all the time. But the two that I'm going to focus on, and Corporal Francis may want to talk briefly about a few. I'm going to talk about the summer camps and programs. Those are important to us because they directly affect our youth, which to me will always be a priority. You know, in the past, when we had the SROs in the school, we were kind of limited to just having camps in the summer, and they were still limited because of summer school and things like that. But now, because we're not school-centric, we're more community-centric when it comes to our youth, our summer programs have now expanded. We're not only going to, of course, we'll continue to do the AAA safety patrol camps, but we're now expanding now to overnight camps, using in conjunction with some of the local areas, rec centers, shall we say, as well as having even a teen community police academy. So I think looking out for us as we get into the winter months when usually camp registrations open, you're going to see more and more summer camps and programs coming from us. Secondly, I'm going to talk briefly about our Community Policing Academy, and that was formerly the Citizen Police Academy. We're going to be having 2 to 3 academies a year now, kind of expanding that a little bit. And I'm just going to speak briefly about that because it is important to us that we utilize this tool. That's a national program, but I think here in Arlington, we're trying to just take it to the next level, shall we say. Next year, we're going to have our normal Community Policing Academy, which maxes at about 25 participants, shall we say. But later on in the fall, we're looking at having a Spanish-speaking Community Police Academy. And that's unique in a sense where we haven't had a Spanish-speaking one in some time. So I think we're about due. And as I previously mentioned, our youth engagement is looking to put a teen academy together as well. Now, when I say Community Police Academy, I just want to be clear what that means. This is a unique opportunity for our community to engage with our police department intimately in a sense where we actually share with you all exactly how we train, how we police, what we do for make policy, things of that nature. It is truly a unique experience that not everyone gets an opportunity to do because we're limited. I wish I could give it to everybody that lived in the county, but it's impossible. And I will say this, moving forward, you know, it's important to us, like in all of our programs, we want our academy participants to be diverse. And so that's one area where I'll be hoping that I can come back to groups like the NAACP and say, hey, can you help us by making our academies more diverse, or giving us even somebody from your executive board, where again, you will be able to share with you some of our insight into how we police, why we train one way versus another. Again, I think it's a give and take. It's an education piece that I think your organization and even those in the community would really, really enjoy.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Francis, as Deputy Chief Vincent stated earlier. Just to touch on a few other programs here, and to also add a caveat to Deputy Chief Vincent's statements regarding the Citizens or Community Police Academy. I would very much highly encourage you when the opportunity arises to try to take advantage of that opportunity. I have not really known anybody that has participated in a program like this, or even to do something as simple as a ride along, that has not come away with a different perspective about policing. A lot of what the general public knows about policing in certain instances typically comes through news stories, which are oftentimes very enlightening, and they do share a lot of a perspective about policing. But sometimes people really believe that we police through the way that things are portrayed in TV shows, and believe it or not. And it is not until they actually get a chance to sit down and really kind of hear from the horse's mouth and experience some of the training firsthand that they get to experience policing in a different light. I want to be able to touch on the program that you see in the top left-hand corner, Reaching New Heights. It is a program that is geared towards the at-risk youth throughout our Arlington community. This is a program that is run by Ms. Tara McGee through the juvenile court system. Basically what it is, it involves officers engaging with the youth through a rock climbing program. They bring the youth out to typically to Earth Treks, which is down in Crystal City. And in that picture, you see Tara, who is pictured second from the right. And she's there pictured with 4 other officers. When the kids come in to engage with us, none of them know that we are actually the police. They just see several individuals in green t-shirts, and we serve as belayers. So we are the ones that are basically attached to the ropes and to the harnesses, and we encourage the kids to climb. Once the entire event is over, we sit down and we debrief with the kids some of the challenges, because for many of them, rock climbing, this is their first time doing so. At the end of it, then they get an opportunity to meet us then as members of the Arlington County Police Department. It is usually an eye-opening experience for them, because they didn't necessarily realize that interacting with the police could be as unintimidating as it was in that particular instance. Over to the right from there, under neighborhood-based activities, that's a picture of me with several kids from the Knock Green Valley community. That picture, I believe, was taken on a day during the summer when a member of the community, she actually lives in Alexandria, but has several family members that live in Green Valley. She takes on many of the children throughout the neighborhood just to provide childcare for them, for parents throughout the day. She doesn't really charge much of anything. She does it out of the goodness of her heart. throughout the summer months, I would ride through Green Valley several times a week just to check on her in particular, because she always felt safer knowing that she at least had an officer kind of coming through every once in a while to check on her and the kids. Occasionally, in going down there, we'd bring water for the children just to make sure they had enough to drink, that they stayed hydrated. But the more that they saw us, the more that they became comfortable with our presence. Several of those kids in that picture, anytime that they see me or other officers from the community engagement division in the community, they immediately run up to us. They're always asking us for stickers, 7-Eleven Slurpee coupons, and it is just our opportunity to be able to not necessarily engage with them just in formal programming, but really taking advantage of the opportunity to get paid just to sit around and talk to children and talk to residents of the community.
Thank you, Mark. I'm just going to briefly just mention something because under summer camps and programs, one other activity that we're working on, and I'm going to I have to call her out because I consider her a friend, but she also is not shy about reminding me, what we should be doing in the community, and that's Sharice Kearns. And I remember I met with Sharice a few months ago, and one of the things that she reminded me, or she at least suggested to us, is that the police department should think about putting on some kind of forensic camp. And so that's a picture of one of our CSI, shall we say, officers. And so, Sharice, I just wanted you to know that putting on a forensic camp next summer or in the early fall, that is something that we're definitely looking at. It makes sense to all of us. It's police related. It's about science. It's about the math of it. So I just want to shout out to you and thank you again for that recommendation. And we are moving forward with that. Next slide. Just briefly, these are some of the events that are coming up. It is the holiday season as approaches with us, and one of our larger engagements we have going on right now is what we call Fill the Cruiser, which is basically where we're collecting toys for some of our children, our children in the community. These are the 3 dates that are coming up in the area. We've already had 2, which have been extremely successful. And so, for anybody that would be interested, and this is two-pronged. Let me back up a little bit. Anyone interested in donating toys, you can either come to the police, drop it off at the police department, or you can come to these three locations. I'll also add that if anyone is interested in just helping us collect or store or sort toys, you're also more than welcome to help us with that. We love to have the community come out and help us collect and to sort toys, because it is a lot of work. It does take a lot of time, because we sometimes collect in excess of hundreds of toys and we have to separate them. So again, I put that out to all of you. And as I'm sure those in education, through the education committee, already know, APS and ACPD are currently working on our MOU. There is a 15-day public comment process going on right now on APS's website. And I certainly encourage all of you, if you have not already, to take a look at that as we move forward with the MOU with APS. This, again, I just want to and again, I hope that all of you take at least, this is recorded, but take a picture, a snap picture of this. This is without question some of the best ways to stay in contact with us. Like Mr. President, I get a lot of phone calls throughout the weeks and months when things happen in the community, people wanting more information as to why the police are here, why the police are there, why is there traffic, why do I hear sirens? And these are some of the ways that I think that the best way that you can get it. The ones for me that I recommend to everyone is, if you're on social media, you should absolutely follow us on Twitter. And if you do not, even if you're not, or you are on social media, you should absolutely 100% register for Arlington Alert. Those are the two, in my opinion, the best ways to keep knowledge as far as what's going on in the county when it comes to critical incidents, critical situations, or you're wondering why the police may be doing something and you're wondering what's going on. I'm also going to bring attention to subscribe to police news and newsletters. The last highlight there, we put out a monthly newsletter that goes over our crime stats. It's very transparent. There's a message from the chief. There's more information as far as how we're engaging and follow-up investigations. Again, if you want to know what's going on in our community, I would highly recommend you subscribe to that. It comes out once a month. And lastly, I just want to give you all our information. These are the best ways to contact our community outreach teams, both the outreach teams north and south, our youth outreach, our business outreach. And I think you all know by now that we recently named Officer JP Montano, our Latino liaison. That's his website as he moves forward with liaisoning and engaging with our Latino community. So, Mr. President, That was short. It was sweet. It was probably shorter than you thought, but I really didn't want to take up too much time because I suspect that we have some questions that that people may want to ask. And you know, I'm always more willing to listen, to engage, to have a discussions than just have people listen to me. So I thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward to further discussions.
Well, thank you, Deputy Chief Wayne Vincent. Could you stop screen share? Have your team stop screen share?
Sure, absolutely, sir.
If you guys can, and ladies, everyone in the team can share those slides with us, we'll make sure they get out to everyone who attended tonight's meeting. As you and I discussed, kind of jokingly, right, a few weeks ago, you know, welcome to the NAACP. Stand by to get some questions, because you know we don't, you know, we agitate, we don't bite our tongue, and I want to use the time wisely. But before we get to that, I know Delegate Patrick Hope has joined us, another elected member in our delegation. So welcome, Delegate Patrick Hope, for joining us. Mr. James Younger asked you a question, and I'll repeat it. You told me you'll get back with it before the audience, our members here. The question was, to what extent, if any, have the recommendations of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing been implemented? And we're talking about, you know, I think there was President Obama's during his administration. On the way out, there was a large study. I think you're quite aware of it. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, and if any of those policies are being implemented that are recommended into ACPD? And
sure, I can try and tap. That's a lot. Obviously,
I know. Just yeah.
President Obama's 21st Century Policing, which was chaired by one of my good friends, Chief Ramsey. I mean, that is a large document, as I'm sure Chief Younger already knows. And yes, we have taken, like most police departments, at least modern forward-thinking police departments, several parts of that and implemented it. I mean, that document's, I believe it's several years now. So it would take me some time to go through everything that we have done specific to that, to include engagement, to include recruitment. I mean, there's so many different parts of it through the pillars, but the easy and quickest answer is yes. Have we done everything? No, I don't think any police department can certainly take every recommendation. And I would even say that some of the recommendations, remember that committee was more of a national, and I think you can't take that large document and say it's good for every community. So I would say that we aren't going to follow every single recommendation, but I would say yes, we have taken several. Since I know Chief Younger asked about the recruitment, he asked specifically, you know, I think this question was, can you go back up to it for me? His question was specifically on, are we recruiting? I'm just going to read his question so everybody understands.
So everyone, I'll read it. Has the department initiated any steps to enhance the hiring process so that there's an emphasis on selecting recruits who are community service, guardian oriented, and culturally competent?
Well, the answer is yes. We have. I was the former, before I was promoted to deputy chief, the former human resources commander. And I can tell you, even before I took that role, we had started that process already. And, you know, I think it's no, everybody knows that, you know, it is any department wants to have representation of their community. And so you do so not only by having a diverse workforce, but you have to target those, you have to make those target recommendations and make those target recruitment areas. And so even before my time, we were targeting to go after things like making our department having more female officers and having more minority officers of all races and cultures and ethnicities. And not just looking at just the races and the ethnicities, but also looking at what kind of majors do they have, are they studying? What's their personality types? What are you looking for as you go through their background package, shall we say? And so I think we've done a better job at that. But I mean, to be honest with you, right now, this is one of the most challenging times we've seen in law enforcement as far as recruitment. I mean, the national storyline across from California to New York to the East Coast is that everyone is hurting to hire police officers, as we're seeing officers, senior level to mid-level officers are retiring early or leaving the profession in general. And so now more than ever, it's so important for us that we're going out and we're recruiting at all levels to keep a diverse workforce. So that continues to be a challenge for us. But yes, I would say to Chief Younger that we have initiated steps by doing so, by targeting not just your criminal justice and your former military personnel, although those people, we still do recruit those. And I think it is important that our department stays open to them, but we are looking at those other social science majors and not just closing our doors to saying, well, this may not be the ideal candidate for policing, when in fact, they could be and they are.
Yeah. You touched on something, and I'm innately aware of where your conversation and where you're headed with recruiting of diverse workforce. My time in corporate America, we work on those very same issues, and that makes me think a lot about, some of the concerns you have. The police department is not the only organization within America, right, that is going through this period of the Great Resignation, right? And folks are really reevaluating work-life balance coupled with the effects of COVID, right? So we have some sympathy there and understand it. But again, I think policing comes with, it's like a duty. You have to want to do it. You have to want to be there. Just like you want to have to be at the NAACP, even if we're not getting paid. You have to want to be a police officer. You have to want to protect and serve, right? You have to want to protect the community, right? Anything less, I don't know what you're there for, right? Maybe give back. But yeah, I appreciate that. There's another question from here is, Yvonne McIntyre. She asked, and this is, we shared the link while you were talking about the draft that's out right now, the MOU between ACPD and APS. But could you summarize briefly what this proposed SR MOU, how it would change the relationship between APS and ACPD? I took a quick bird's eye view of it earlier today, but I didn't read the 17-page document. Any thoughts? How's it going to change? I know the police officers will not be in the school physically, but can you talk to that a little bit?
Sure. Well, as you all know, with the school board deciding not to have SROs in the school, we have to have a new MOU. So we have some kind of relationship with and expectations from both APS and the police department. There are several parts of the MOU that are so different from the last MOU, shall we say. The parts that stand out to me the most are clearly when APS will call law enforcement, and that's going to be state code driven. The new laws have come out in legislation that I'm sure union membership are well aware of, as far as when the schools can call the police, and so that will be in there. Additionally to that, well, we've already seen in the first couple of months of school that although the schools may not be calling the police for certain crimes, there are parents and even students that are calling the police for crimes that the schools are not mandated to call us for. And so we have to have some kind of agreement with the schools. Well, okay, if a parent calls us for a crime that's not mandated by the state, well, how are we going to handle that? And so that's going to be that's something that's in the MOU as well, as far as how that would be addressed. So those I'm not to waste too much, not that much wasting time, but I don't want to place too much time on it. But those are the kind of things that's going to be different in the schools, as far as when we're called and how we are to address these crimes, as far as when there are things going on in schools and what the role of the police department will be. I would just say this, the other part really quick in the MOU too, it also goes into when and how the law enforcement officers will be invited to the schools. And for the most part, that's going to be education based. So things like driver's ed, health, as far as drugs or substance abuse, or even engagement. We've had several engagements in the schools that were specific to having some kind of education base behind it. So those are the kind of things that will also be in the MOU. But there's a lot of work to be done with that, and I look forward to the future engagement on that as we move forward with that MOU.
Sure. Well, thank you, Deputy. I shared this with you in the chat and with the membership. When we established the registration for this event, there was a block in there for individuals to put in a question or two, if there were any questions they would have of you. And what you have before you on the screen right now are just some of the questions were repetitive, but we've kind of taken the questions and here they are. I'm not sure, we can't get through all of these in the next 5 minutes, but I will look, as I look at this, that first question that's there about ACPD re-implementing the community policing model, right? And I've only been here 12 years, but I've heard about the relationship with the police department in this community years ago. and how it was very fruitful, cordial. I mean, it was good, great, right? Now, and perhaps it is today in some parts, but there is definitely there's this tension. So look, let's not fool ourselves. There's this tension in the community. So what type of community policing model, as you look out in a community, I would say in America, who are you trying to emulate, or is it all dependent upon what we want here in Arlington? And how do you feel, what's going to make your model effective?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
One part that I should say, one question that I'm always asked about, and I think it has direct effect, is to any community policing model, is people in the community, they want to see the same face every day or every week. It's when the police department, because of all kinds of different reasons, whether it be promotions or it be transfers or whatever, which we keep having people see different faces. And so for me, I think one thing that we're trying to do, and that's again, but the model we're using now, we're being between community, youth, and business, and having a solid team under one division, we're giving people the same faces they're going to see and work with. Now we're expanding that into our patrol division as well to get them out of the cars as we see, because I see that's the next question. But I think the one thing I'm trying to establish is that the community is going to actually work and see the same officers day in and day out. And I think that's an important piece. That's the first piece as far as understanding and building that trust. Because again, that's the question I'm usually seen with is, okay, we had a great relationship with Officer X, but now they're gone. And what if for any host of reasons?
Yeah, I'm going to try to combine two questions into one, Deputy Chief, if that's okay. There's a question that just came in from Delegate Hope, which I think is very important, being that the NAACP advocated strongly for the body-worn cameras. And then there's another question that came in that talks about community engagement, mental health professionals. There's been a lot of conversation, I know, in your senior leadership with county board officials that, the role of the police officers, right? Not to, and there's been some challenges, right? And we don't have enough mental health professionals here in the county or behavioral health. So thereby the police officer a lot of times ends up being the one who's at, Virginia Hospital Center for past their shift. And I know there's some challenges there. I want you to talk about that a little bit, but talk about, the question from Patrick Opus. Go back to it again. It just went out. There's a lot. Can you provide an update on the rollout of the body-worn cameras, and what is the position of ACPD on the use of speed cameras as an alternative to traffic enforcement? And then on the backside, just talk about the challenges that you're having in mental health and behavioral health. And there is one more question at the end. I know we don't have much time. I want to see what your relationship is with restorative justice and how y'all supporting that. So go ahead. Sorry, you just threw a lot at you.
You just threw a lot at me, JD, but it's okay. Mark is going to talk really briefly about the mental health issue and the mental health question, then I'll get to the others.
Okay, thanks.
So as far as our role when it comes to mental health, I've been with ACPD now since 2017, and I came here from a department in Huntsville, Alabama. I worked for the Huntsville Police Department prior to coming here. One of the things that I appreciated about ACPD's approach versus my previous departments, and this is not to bash where I worked previously, because they do a lot of good work there. But here with ACPD, one thing that we mandated was crisis intervention training for all of our officers. Because of COVID, we really kind of slipped below that 100% mark of training all of our officers on making sure that they were crisis intervention trained. Because of COVID, we had to limit the number of classes, the number of people that we could have in classes, and then of course there was also issue with staffing instructors for those classes. That becomes very important because of the fact that DHS is also running low on numbers in terms of emergency services specialists, professionals that can actually go out into the community. Because prior to COVID, a lot of times they would arrive on scene, they would do assessments face-to-face, either at a person's home, wherever they were, sometimes maybe at the hospitals. Now, a lot of that is happening virtually. Because of the fact that their numbers have actually decreased, it has put an additional burden on the police department, because through Virginia code, when we have something like an emergency custody order or a temporary detention order, that is something that we as the police department have to maintain custody of under Virginia code. So it has been to ACPD's benefit that even coming into COVID, that many of our officers were already crisis intervention trained. It doesn't make us professionals in mental health, but it does allow us to be able to kind of navigate sometimes the murky waters of being able to get a person from a place of crisis to a place where they're receiving services and being able to do so without having to really use any force. I've really forgot the numbers, but over the last year or so, we have really only had, I believe, 5 instances in where force was actually used in a particular mental health situation to kind of bring it to some sort of resolution where we got somebody to the hospital. That is a very low number. And I think that is due to the high level of training that we give our officers. So we do work very closely with DHS. They partner with us to provide crisis intervention training to our officers so that we can better serve our mental health community.
Sure.
Just really quick, JD, I'll go right into it. Just I know you mentioned body worn cameras. Our body worn camera program has been fully implemented. To include, I know we part of our engagement efforts, which we share that policy with the community. That policy is open on our website if anybody wants to look at it. And again, I agree. I think I'm looking at the chat. We definitely need more time, and I'm going to stay on as long as I can and answer every question in the chat because I know you're about to kick us off.
I definitely want to kick you off. The door is always open at NAACP. How are you engaging with restorative justice? ACP.
We have 2 officers assigned to restorative justice committee, and we're working hand in hand with to work moving forward with the county board and the county manager with some kind of MOU. I'm not directly involved with that myself, but I know we're going to be moving forward with that in some format. I think they just have to work out some of the agreements with that, but it is moving forward. And I know, and before I forget, I know you've already put this in your email. I can emphasize enough on another topic, the Community Oversight Board. I know that that's been extended. They just recently extended the application for that, and I certainly encourage either you or someone from your organization to apply to be a member of that board.
Deputy, are you encouraging me to apply for this? I'm probably the last one they want on that one. So listen, plus it takes listen, we hope, thank you. And we are aware, we sent a letter to the chair of the county board today about that. We were made aware also of the extended deadline. I know there's about over 100 and some odd applications. Of those 100, though, there's perhaps not where it needs to be as it relates to kind of like diversity and demographics. And that's a good, we need to ensure that this board, Community Oversight Board, is reflective of the community, not just a board full of professionals and lawyers, people of the community, probably those that have been most affected by policing over the years. But yeah, I think we'll get there. It just takes a little bit of time. And I saw the note from Bryna. Chief, Deputy, we appreciate you coming and being with us. There's a number of questions in the chat. It's always that way as people are wrapping up, despite being 30 minutes. There's some questions. I would like, on behalf of our members, what I sent you in the chat, which are some questions. If you can have someone on your team kind of capture the questions that are here. And if you can roll up some type of reply, we're not asking for it to come back next week or but in the short term, maybe within the next 30 days, if you can kind of like put something together and answer the mail on live these questions that have come out tonight in the chat and what we submitted to you, that would be greatly appreciated, because effective communication, something I learned a long time ago, is the key to success, right? So let's have this conversation. Let's hear back from you. And we really appreciate you being with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I just want to say real quick before I go,
sure,
I'm going to stay here, but also I really truly want to work with you to try to maybe extend this format where we can have more time on a, just police only, shall we say, conversation with your membership, if anyone is interested.
Yeah, I think it's due. It's really due. And we need to, if we're going to move forward, we got to also understand that we're not all going to start on the same playing field, but we got to be able to figure out where there's places that we can perhaps compromise and move forward on in the best interest of this community. And in our case, in the best interest of our Black and our brown and our Latino brothers and sisters, right? Because they have been affected greatly. And there's questions that you probably saw about trust, right? How do you build trust in the community with the police department? I realize that not all police officers are bad. I know that, right? But you know, there's a generation out there, right, that has a problem with policing. And we got to figure out, because policing is not going anywhere, what we can do to work together in unity. All right. I'm there with you.
I look forward to it.
All right. Okay.
Thank you,
You're welcome. Next, and I know we're a little bit behind, but that's how we do. We this is the end of the year, and just before we bring up the next speaker, I'll let all of you know I haven't taken this to the executive committee yet. We are probably going to do something different in December. I know many of you have been yearning to meet in person, but hopefully our next meeting in December can be maybe a hybrid or something in person where, you know, back in the day when Earl Malo and Karen and all of them together, we used to have like a little holiday party or something, but you know, you gotta be masked up and all that good stuff. Maybe we'll try to do something in person next month. Okay, next on our agenda is Mike Chick with us? Someone sent me a message. Mike Chick, are you on this line? All right. We have on our agenda, on our schedule today, a young lady, a native Arlingtonian, who met with not only myself, but also met with the executive committee. She proactively reached out to the branch and wanted to talk about her position. She is a judicial candidate for Arlington County Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. The NAACP is a nonpartisan organization. We don't endorse candidates. It is quite possible that the state conference will get involved and make a statement at some point in time about the candidates at many levels, and even in this level. But what we're doing right now is affording her the opportunity to speak to the NAACP, just like we've had political candidates in the past do. But she's going to have 5 minutes to speak with you about why she's running, why she put her name in the hat. Her name is Marcia Payne. Marcia, are you with us? Marcia.
I am here. I just had to take my computer off of mute. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, let me get off spotlight and give you the screen to yourself. All right, is that okay?
Okay. I'll take that. I like spotlights and screens to myself.
Like the spotlight. All right, everyone. This is Marcia Payne. The floor is yours.
First of all, good evening to everyone. Thank you for allowing me these 5 minutes to introduce myself to you all. I went through the list of people on this call briefly, and I see a lot of people who raised me. So Mr. Spain is correct in that I am an Arlington native. My name is Marcia Olivia Wright first, but as of 2 years ago, now Marcia Olivia Payne. I am from the Knock community, which is now currently Green Valley. For those of you who are familiar, I grew up right over there right around the corner from Walter Reed, on the corner of 17th and Edgewood Street, right across from the Army Navy Country Club, is where my father placed his roots years and years and years ago. And my father owned a restaurant that is currently where Macedonia sits. It was Wright's Bakery and Carryout, where he fed and served the community way back when. And so that is the culture in which I was raised here in Arlington County. For those of you who do not know, Judge Varousis, after almost 24 years, if not a little bit more on the bench, is retiring in December 31st to be exact. And so 5 of us, 5 very good qualified lawyers in Arlington, have submitted our application to be considered to replace him, and I am one of them. And I applied to this position, number one, because I am Arlington born and bred. I am invested in the community just as much as this community has invested in me. I would not be the woman, the lawyer, the advocate, the community leader that I am today, but for my experiences in Arlington County Public Schools and Arlington County Departments of Park and Recreation as a youth member of the NAACP. I have been touched, raised, built up, encouraged, and supported by members on this call, Dr. Taylor and Mr. Valentine, who have let me in their house and raised me with their children and supported me over the years. And so to actually be in a position like that in the county that I was raised in is a value to me. It's the same work that Judge Newman, who was one of my mentors, has done. And so I think it's important that we recycle from our own. So that is one of the reasons that I applied. I also applied because I'm invested in diversity in the bench. Arlington needs more diversity in the bench, especially in juvenile and domestic relations court. Those of you who do not know, the majority of the youth that come in and out of that courthouse are Black and brown. And so it's important when they come into the courthouse that they see someone who looks like them. Outside of race, because it's not always about race, sometimes it's about language. I am bilingual in Spanish. It is important that our immigrant community, when they're coming in and out of that courthouse, that they see judges who can at least greet them in their language as a base level. That is important. That is one of the reasons why I'm applying. I'm applying because I am a youth and family advocate. I have dedicated my life and my career for the upliftment of our community, especially with our children. I run community-based organizations now that are very, very effective. I take at-risk youth and I educate them, I expose them, I take them on trips around the world. They go to Ghana every 2 years. When they are done with our program, those who came in as part of the juvenile justice system come out college bound. Some of them are applying to law school as we speak. So the program is effective and it works. My ear is to the ground. I know what's going on, not just in Arlington, but in the District of Columbia, in Maryland. I work with all of those kids in this program, and I've been doing it since 2013. So I am actively engaged in what's going on in our community. As an Arlington native, my mother still lives in Arlington. My sisters and brothers still live in Arlington. I'm invested in the health of our communities. That, of course, starts with our children. It also starts with the strength of our families. I am currently a domestic violence prosecutor. I prosecute very severe domestic violence cases. I prosecute child abuse cases. But I'm not only a prosecutor, I have 17 years of experience in juvenile and domestic relations court as a guardian ad litem, as a court-appointed counsel, as a defense counsel. There is no case that comes before the juvenile domestic relations court that I don't have an extensive amount of experience in. I know the law. I know how the law is applied. I know how the law is applied in a disparate impact way as it relates to our children. And so I am very sort of invested in getting engaged in that part of the process as well. I believe that it's important for the court to be engaged in the community. When I jumped on this call, one of the things I heard Mr. Spain say is we have to work together in unity. One of the things that I think is very important is that the juvenile and domestic relations court does not operate in a vacuum. In order for the court to be effective, the community has to be engaged. You all have to know the process. You have to understand what's happening in the bench, and you have to be invested in what's going on. You have to invest in the schools. You have to invest in the community-based programs. A judge cannot do the work on its own. I hear all the rumblings of what's going on in the community and the changes that need to happen. Well, the changes start at home. It starts with you. It starts with the strength of who we are as people. And so the notion of community investment is not lost on me, and it should not be lost on the courts. This is a collective community village process. All of the stakeholders must be on the same page, trying to reach the same goal. And that goal is the health of our communities, not at the sacrifice of our children. And you don't promote children and the health of our children at the sacrifice of the community. It is a healthy, careful balance that must be struck by someone who is invested straight across the board. So I am applying for the position for all of these reasons and more. I'm very zealous and passionate about the prospects, and I hope that the legislators will deeply consider my qualifications and my application, and that there's an opportunity for me, Marcia Payne, to be the next judge on the bench. And I wanted to introduce myself to you all, answer any questions that you may have. I believe that my materials were included in the announcement for this particular meeting. But any of you can please reach out to me via email, via cell phone, to ask me questions about who I am, what else I can contribute to the bench, any type of changes that I may want to see happen. But I just want you all to know me, to hear my voice, to see my face, and just understand and know that there is a vacancy currently available, and that people have applied, and that the legislators will be soon considering each of the applications to determine which of us is best suited for the position. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Marcia. Like for everyone who's on this call, I think there was a link shared. if you have questions for Ms. Payne or would like to speak with her, her contact information is there. Feel free to reach out to her. And Marcia, we thank you for speaking to our membership, our audience. Like I said before I introduced her, Marcia proactively reached out to the NAACP about a month ago. And so, and again, I met with her one-on-one with the secretary, then the executive committee met with her, and then I offered 5 minutes to come and speak to you. So she asked, and we accommodated that. So no one else has. So I'll just leave it at that. With that being said, we really do thank you, Marcia, and wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. And I really appreciate it. I know you have Dr. Taylor on the call. One thing for the audience, Marcia talked about when she was a yay high. Dr. Taylor and Portia Clark had this group of young kids in South Arlington and North Arlington, Halls Hill. They were part of the NAACP. They was 100 and some odd children, and they would go around singing in the community. I mean, it brought joy to my heart, and it was only we can be that way again today. But you've been invested for many years, Marcia, and we know where your heart's at. So God bless you and keep you safe. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, we're a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay because this is the end of the year too, right? We're going to have our Housing Committee come up, Kellen, and then we're going to go to our Political Action, Criminal Justice, Environmental Climate Justice, and Education Committee. Don't go anywhere, y'all. This is the NAACP. You don't want to miss what we got going on here. So, Kellen, where are you at?
Thanks,
Kellen
JD.
MacBeth, our chair. Here we go. All right.
I just had to go off mute. So the Housing Committee has been busy adapting to potentially a new legislative environment in Richmond and figuring out what our strategy is going to be statewide and also locally based on the election results from November 2nd. So we've been working with the Arlington County delegation members to have some of those follow-up conversations. In addition to the ones that we've had previously this year, we've also been working with statewide advocacy, housing advocacy groups like the Virginia Poverty Law Center, Home in Richmond, and some other groups to help coordinate our strategies on making some real changes to help advance fair housing and affordable housing within Arlington and across the state. And locally, we're also preparing for a fair housing conference that should be taking place in February of next year that will highlight the data that comes out of the regional assessment of fair housing impediments that the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments is currently working on and that we've been participating in for the last probably 6 months or so. So that information and the draft report should be coming out to the public in January or February timeframe. So we're kind of targeting our conference to look at issues around segregation, the data that comes out of this, as well as opportunity gaps between protected individuals and protected classes, and what we can do to sort of achieve real change and lasting change within Arlington on those issues. So those are some of the key things that we're doing. If people have questions, feel free to add them in the chat. And as always, we're always looking for more people to join the Housing Committee. And we meet the first Tuesday of each month. So if you're interested, please let us know. And we'd be happy to have you involved. So thank you, JD.
All right. Thank you. Get my stuff here going. Okay, we're going to have our political action. I think this Megan. Hey, all right, let's get you going here.
Hello, hi everybody.
Go ahead.
All right, well, the big news that I have this month is that our voter registration and get out the vote efforts were led once again by the amazingly talented Detta Kissel. I think she's already had to drop off of this meeting, but she also had lots of support from Jan Marie Payne, the Political Action Committee, and several other members of the branch. So thank you so much, everyone, for all of your hard work and participation. Under DETA's leadership, the Arlington NAACP held a total of 30 voter registration events in 2021. Those were mostly at affordable housing residences, which are often overlooked by other organizations. So we were really getting out there. At those events, we registered 33 people on site using paper applications and gave out hundreds of flyers with directions on how to register to vote. Although each of our voter registration events is also really about voter education and getting out the vote. Get out the vote efforts are usually measured in doors knocked. So this year we knocked on 1,604 doors. We left 2 flyers at each door, a flyer giving information about early voting and another flyer about the importance of voting. So in addition to canvassing at Green Valley, we also canvassed at several affordable housing residences throughout the county. In addition to the flyers we left at each door, we also produced a paper titled Why I Should Vote in 2021 to encourage those reluctant voters to get out and vote this year. And finally, we sent out emails to the voters we registered this year, reminding them to vote in the election. So this was a big effort, especially for a non-presidential election year. So big congratulations and thank you to everyone who engaged with us. Detta, as I said, had to drop off a little early, but we could not have done this without her, and we're very grateful for that. So now that the election is over, we are focusing on advocating in Virginia's 2022 legislative session. We've just today actually sent a letter to the county board for their legislative priorities for the legislature, where we've already met with some of the county board members and a couple of our state legislators to talk about different issues from housing to education to the Civilian Oversight Board. And we are supporting the Virginia State Conference on putting together their priorities for advocacy work in the 2022 legislative session. So please come join the Political Action Committee. Julius likes to call us the fun committee, so I promise we will not disappoint. We meet the first Monday of every month. You do not need any experience in political action. All you need is a passion for advocacy. So we'd love to have you. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan. I think people like your committee because you end on time. 1 hour, you're out of there. And we're a little over, we're going to be over. Appreciate all the good work. And to, the NAACP with many other organizations, we just partner, we work side by side. We're nonpartisan. We knocked on doors. We told individuals to get out and vote. We didn't tell them how to vote, but that's what this was all about. And we did a really good job this year, despite the effects of COVID. Criminal justice, Heather, are you with us? And for those of you on the call again, for this month, I remind you that a month and a half ago, we brought Heather on. Heather was on the committee. Heather is our new chair of the Criminal Justice Committee. The first vice president, Kent Carter, was the chair for a year. He did a lot of good work. He's still on the committee, just taking a little break, and now we allow people to maneuver around. And so Heather is now our chair, along with Matt Rogers, who's the vice chair. Heather, you with us?
I'm here.
All right,
I'm here.
Right.
Okay, so some of the material that I was going to cover has already been covered during the course of the meeting. The first and most important point that I want to raise actually came to light in the last couple of days and was clarified. This one always insists on coming into the meeting, but was clarified earlier this afternoon, and Ms. Helfer during this call provided a link to the reopened application process for the Community Oversight Board. And we encourage all of our members to submit applications to very important community service opportunity. We really have a very strong community interest in having impacted members of impacted communities that are policed at different rates and in different ways, submit applications to participate in this board. We think this is a really terrific opportunity to engage in a meaningful way with the Arlington County Police Department and to build bridges and hopefully see improvements and in the relationship between the police and policed communities. The application period closes now on December 3rd. The link is in the chat. If you need the link, you can contact me. I'll put my email address in the chat. If you have any questions about what the Oversight Board entails, what service entails, you can contact me and I can answer some of your questions. We've had a couple of meetings about the Community Oversight Board and about also some a question about whether there will be a change in legislation that allows the independent policing auditor to be answerable to the county board as opposed to the county manager. Obviously, again, there's some shift in Richmond, but we don't think that that's a terribly controversial issue, and we're very hopeful that that will that issue will carry. So we continue having conversations with Chair of the County Board, Matt DeFerranti, on issues about selection of candidates to the Community Oversight Board and selection of, later on down the line, the selection of the independent policing auditor. We had a very interesting meeting last week, I believe, with a representative of the Board of Jails and Prisons that we learned very recently investigates in custody deaths at, among other institutions, our local detention center here in Arlington. Wanted to get some information about what triggers investigations, the scope of their investigations, how investigations are conducted, and whether that board that was created by the legislature actually has any authority and power to effect any change once the investigations are complete, and if there is any finding of any pattern in practice in a particular facility. And got some answers that I don't think were ideal. There's not all that much authority to take any action once investigations are completed. And we are continuing at every turn to try to communicate with as many people as we can to push this issue to ensure that there's accountability and responsiveness in when they're in custody deaths.
Yeah.
Our meetings are on the fourth Wednesday, the Criminal Justice Committee. JD has not said that it's the most fun committee. I believe he feels that in his heart. So the meetings are on the fourth Wednesdays of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. And you should consider joining us because we're fun.
Thank you, Heather.
Because we are really working hard and we are walking the walk and making sure that other folks carry out their word.
Yeah, you know what? Between you, Heather, and Kellen, I'm in trouble. Because I'm in trouble. I said political action. Well, it's fun, and Kellen's jumped on me. And everybody's fun. How about that? I mean, I should have kept my mouth shut. Thank you, Heather, for that report. I know you may be sending out some information later as it relates to the meeting this month, simply because I think it's a day or so before Thanksgiving. So we can just talk a little bit later about that changing up. And I'm, let's. I will tell everyone on this call, and I'm so happy to still have 90-some people on after hour and a half. But look, many of you want to know about the Becton's case. Many of you want to know about this other stuff that's going on. I'll tell you this: we are diligently working with all parties, not trying to be vague, to get down to the bottom of this, because let's just say it's. I don't think we don't believe the buck stops with Corizon, the provider. We believe strongly that it's a systemic issue that passed since 2015. We've had all these deaths, and in our detention facility, and so we're working again with all parties to try and get to the bottom of this. I think it's public record. Most of you know that the Becton family has counsel. So, that's on them, but we are still doing our due diligence. And when I say meeting with all parties, we're meeting with all parties. You can believe
Yeah.
that.
And
Heather, you want to say one thing? I give you
Yeah,
30
I
seconds.
would say one other thing real quickly. We have a lot to do. This committee is not made up only of lawyers. We are not looking only for attorneys, for lawyers, for people with law enforcement experience. We need voices and we need people who are willing to put boots on the ground. So come join us.
Thank you, Heather. We'll leave it at that for criminal justice. But if you want to know more, send us an email, join that committee, because they're doing some really good work. I don't think, Madam Secretary, I don't think Gabrielle's with us tonight, or the Vice Chair from Environmental Climate Justice.
That is correct. I didn't see their name unless they're calling in.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Kenyatta, are you with us? I don't know if you called in. Maybe not. All right, we'll move on to we're right at 8:31. So we'll move on to Education Committee. Second VP, Ms. Carnes.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I don't know if we're fun or not, and I don't care. So join, don't join. We're working really hard like everybody else. So just to give you some of the highlights, one of the big things, and JD kind of led off with this at the beginning of the evening, is that we have, after about 2 years, completed a program that is offering tutoring to struggling readers in Drew, over at Drew Model School. Well, Charles R. Drew Elementary School is what it's called now. And we are partnering with the Dyslexic Edge Academy to provide a small cohort. I think we have about 13 students with 2 years of structured literacy reading support. The kids will be receiving tutoring 90 minutes twice a week. And we're starting from 0, just assuming that they, have not received any reading skills, and we're building from there. This is really great because we've also kind of parallel to this through a lot of the Ed Committee's advocacy. We have been able to push APS to take up structured literacy as the primary form of reading instruction. So not only are we going to be able to provide these children with extra support, it's paralleling what's eventually going to be fully taught in the system. So we are very proud of this program and very excited about it. And we are expecting that we're going to be able to grow this out and scale it up in the coming years. So it's quite the accomplishment. And we're really pleased that this is happening. One of the other big things is, and Deputy Chief Vincent mentioned this, is that the MOU for the relationship between ACPD and APS is out. And so the Ed Committee will be reviewing that and providing comments on that. So we'll be starting to work on that probably tomorrow, and we'll start to build that out. So it's very, very exciting work too, as we try to understand, like JD said, what does policing in the 21st century look like? And what do our children deserve in terms of a school climate? And that's an ongoing conversation. One of the other things that we are working on is a project with Kellen. There's going to be a housing committee conference in February, and we're going to have one of our members, Marianne Klimkowski, is going to be sitting on a panel for that. So we're really excited to give our committee members opportunities to grow and to lead. So we're happy about that. Our meeting last month was a lunch and learn session with Shannon Ellis, who is our math supervisor over APS. So we started out the Ed Committee a few years ago with a strong focus on literacy. We are now starting to expand that focus out to math. And Marion and Maggie Sly are our leaders in that area. So we are starting to learn what APS has to offer, what are the pain points in math education, and where we can get in and advocate to make that better. So we're really excited about that as well. We are also in the process of preparing a session that's going to be a follow-on to our session earlier this year on a book called Push Out. So with the help of Leah Matterall, we hosted a screening of the movie Push Out and a discussion session. It was well attended. We had nearly 300 attendees. It was amazing. So there is a new book out that has been written by Professor Kristen Nicole Henning over at Georgetown. And the book is called Rage of Innocence: How America Criminalizes Its Black Youth. And we have reached out to Professor Henning and we're asking her to come over and talk with us about her book and about the findings in her book. So stay tuned for that. We're really excited. I think that's going to be a really great event. We are also in the process of scheduling our next Know Your Rights session, because the one thing that we do know is that there are a lot of families and children here in Arlington County that don't understand their fundamental rights. And we want to make sure that as children are encountering law enforcement, that they understand when they're being detained, when they're not being detained, when do they have to comply with the search, when do they not have to comply with the search, what is it appropriate for them to say or not say. So we're going to be setting that up so that we can, provide families with that very important knowledge, because what we're finding in school is that we teach our children to tell the truth, but they go in, they tell the truth, and you don't know what's on the other side of that. You don't know if they're telling the truth, but there's a case being built. So we want to make sure that our kids really understand what they can and can't do, and how they can engage with law enforcement in times where they are having these very tense encounters, where they're not on playgrounds and eating candy and getting school supplies and stuff, because that's the pretty picture. But the data tells us that behind that pretty picture is some stuff that's going on that's harmful to our children. And that's what we want to work with. We like the pretty pictures, but we also want our children to not be arrested and detained and sent to detention centers and things like that. So that is what our root work is to stop and slow that down. A couple more things. We have reached out to APS about the virtual learning program. And I know you guys may not know much about that, but it was a virtual program that was set up the beginning of this year to allow children who couldn't be vaccinated to come, to be able to continue their education. That implementation has not gone well. We brought in people from the state level to sit down and talk with them about what's happening. So we are going to be following up with Dr. Duran and others about that issue as we move forward with that. And finally, we will be preparing our budget and legislative priorities for APS. And that was something that we started last year, and it worked out pretty well. And we are going to take that work up again. I think that's it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain them. And if not, feel free to email us. We can talk more, or you can reach out to me personally, and I'm happy to give more detail.
All right. Well, thank you, Madam Second VP and co-chair of the Education Committee, for such an outstanding report. There's a lot going on in the Education Committee, y'all. So if you want to know more, reach out to the Education Committee. They have an email, reach out to the branch, reach out to the chairs. You want to join, you speak with the chairs. Hopefully, you have the time. A lot of work, a lot of projects. And this is not for those that want to come in short for a month. Because
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. But I think what we like on the backside, what's beneficial, is when you see platforms like the structured literacy piece, and that come around after a year and a half of the Education Committee working hard, actually getting to see the fruits of the labor. And it takes time. for all of this, especially in an environment sometimes where people claim that they want to be progressive and we want to put in place new systems, but they really aren't. So we have to push and we have to agitate. But thank you, Cherie, for that, for such an outstanding report. I will use this time also. I know went into the Religious Affairs Committee. Pastor Davis put a comment out here. They're always seeking, the Religious Affairs, all our committees are seeking assistance if you want to come and join. But there's also, Pastor Davis, I know there's anniversary coming up. Can you talk to that? I'll give you 60 seconds. Can you talk about that? That's pretty significant anniversary that's coming up. If you're still on, can you talk about that anniversary for, I think it's Callaway?
Yes, I would love to do so tonight. Thank you so very much.
I know you would. I know you would. I know it. Go ahead, Pat, Madam Chair. You got 60 seconds.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a wonderful meeting tonight and so good to be a part of this branch that is doing work everywhere. Callaway United Methodist Church, also known as the best church on Langston Boulevard, is celebrating 155 years of service to Christ in a community. It's just a major blessing that we're able to do the things that we do, and we thank God for it. On December the 4th, 2021, we'll have a virtual celebration. It will take place over Zoom. During that time, we have a guest speaker, Dr. Willie Jolly, as well as the jazz music of Dave Yarborough. And a very important part of the program as well is we are highlighting those who do exactly what our theme is, which is being able to focus and move forward. And so we are highlighting the work of Christine Perka for all that she did with our Courageous Conversations, Andrew Snyder for the work that he did bringing the community together for the Arlington Interfaith Network, and none other than our president, J.D. Spain, for all of the work that he has done in the last few years. I think he's done more in the last few years than some of us have done in decades and for this community. And so we want to take a time to spotlight him, to honor him for the work that he has done, not only for Callaway and this community, but for the entire Arlington area and Northern Virginia. And so we encourage everyone to be a part of that. You can go to our website, callawaychurch.org, get your ticket, make sure that you are logged in to congratulate him at that time and to share in our joy. Thank you again, Mr. President, for this moment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, yeah, I got this is you know how the NAACP goes. I said at the beginning, this is team. So wherever we get, whatever comes my way, it's the branch. And we've come a long way, but I stand on the shoulders of folks like Dr. Taylor, who I think is still on this call, Portia Clark, Tyrone Sims, you know, everyone has their own leadership style, right? And there's this old line about together we stand, divided we fall. And I will tell you, if you don't stand together, even at the NAACP, no matter where you at, if you don't stand together, you will fall apart. I've been in enough organizations, you will fall apart. And, you know, and I will say this a lot of times for folks like us, we have to be mindful of the crabs in the barrel concept too, right? Sometimes we're our worst own enemies, right? Sometimes we were, and others are as well. But we've been able to, a lot of times we disagree in the NAACP because we're human, but at the end of the day, we come out together. And that's what's important, because we understand that what we do at the NAACP ain't about JD, ain't about Kent Carter, Mike Hemminger, Simone, the secretary, Cherie. It ain't about none of us. It's about it's about the moment, and it's about the next generation of Arlingtonians, our citizens, our Black and brown brothers and sisters here in Arlington. We're trying to make it better for them. And with that, it is 8:44. I have nothing else to say. I'll stick around like I usually do for people, but this right here, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the meeting. It is 8:44 and we still have 82 people on the call. God bless each and every one of you. If you need anything from us, reach out to the NAACP. We have your back. That concludes this meeting.